We're live. I hope I marked it as public. Hey everybody, it's been a while because I have been on vacation. Don't worry, we're not going to be talking about any drama. I'm responding to the comments popping up on the screen of my phone. Alright, so just been a week. Took the kids out of school for a week, went up to Santa Rosa. Had some great times on the beach up there. Went up there with the Renders and the Headleys, and it's just awesome. Mike and Christy have two awesome boys. The Headleys have three awesome boys, and me and Heather have three awesome girls, and these kids will just keep themselves occupied non-stop for an entire week. It was great. And what else? There are a few plugs I want to get in before we start. I put the title of this live stream as Scientology Snitching Culture. I have referenced the fact previously that I have approximately 500 reports that I wrote during a 4-year stint in the Sea Org in Los Angeles between 2002 and 2006. And I figured there's been a lot of mentions of the Scientology snitching culture. And there's been some examples shown on TV of what a report is, what a knowledge report is, a KR as they're called in Scientology. But I've got hundreds of them, and I figured maybe we could read some together, and that would be kind of fun. And then I'll take some Q&A questions, as I usually do when I do these streams. Hello, everybody. Hello in Utah. Hello in Palm Harbor. Okay, real quick plug that I do not want to forget. So this past Tuesday's episode of Scientology in the Aftermath had stories from Tara Riel and Nathan Rich. And Nathan has a YouTube channel. And I'm going to pull it up, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. Because he put up a reply video. He put up a response video to the, I'll call it a hate website, but it's really just a few videos. It's like a page on Scientology's dedicated hate website for the Scientology and the Aftermath show. So Nathan's channel is called, not that. I remember it was, oh, there it is. Okay, well, it's just called Nathan Rich. But unfortunately, that's a pretty common title for a channel, apparently, because there's a lot of them. So in the description of this video, I will post the link. But it's Nathan Rich. It's a photo of his white fluffy cat with a big mouth open, and his mouth is open behind the cat. And he did a video called Scientology Exposes My Life of Crime. And you're going to love this video. Considering that this whole subject matter is pretty serious and emotional, the video was fucking hilarious. I don't mind saying that. His response video to the church had me belly laughing. Like, I felt weird that I was laughing so hard at a response video that was, intended to smear Nathan. And of course, Nathan's story is heartbreaking. And if you haven't seen last week's episode of Scientology in the Aftermath, please check it out. So check out Nathan's video. Give him a subscribe on Twitter. Let me give you his Twitter. Hold on. It's at tweet Nathan Rich. NathanRich. Okay, what's the other plug I want to make? If you're watching this video and you have not yet, and you do Facebook groups, and you have not yet joined the supporters of Leah Remini, Scientology in the Aftermath Facebook group, please go ahead and give it a join. We try to keep the drama and the fighting down to a minimum, but we've not been terribly successful as of late, but we're working on it. But we do have the vast majority of Scientology in the Aftermath contributors are moderators on that page and are there to answer your questions about Scientology and about the show and whatever you want to ask, within reason. I felt like there was at least one more thing I wanted to plug, but maybe it's a little premature. Actually, I'm going to be doing an interview shortly with a woman who has a channel. She grew up in the Mormon church, and then she left Mormonism, and she joined Islam, or converted to Islam. I think it was for a marriage. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure. And then she was in Islam, and then she left Islam, And now she's going for the trifecta and she wants to join Scientology. I'm kidding. She doesn't really want to join Scientology. But we're going to do an interview about the, well, we're going to interview each other. We're going to talk about Scientology and Mormonism and Islam. And even though it's a little bit off subject, I want to just briefly mention the concept of Mormonism and whether it's okay to call it a cult. In the Scientology and the Aftermath group recently, well, first of all, I'm constantly contacted on through the YouTube channel by people who used to be in the Mormon Church and people who used to be in Jehovah's Witnesses. And they contact me wanting to talk about the similarities between what they hear about the structure of Scientology, the policies of Scientology, the abuses in Scientology, and how that compares to their religions. It is not my intention to call the Mormon Church a cult or call the Jehovah's Witnesses a cult. I personally do not know enough about those organizations to make that kind of a call. So sometimes I struggle a little bit to between, well, should I be more concerned with respecting the Mormons who would be offended by calling it a cult or respecting the people that want to speak out about abuses in it? It's above my pay grade. It's not my intention to insult any religion or religions in general, so please don't take any of it that way. Hello in Tennessee. Okay. Oh yeah, so I'm going to be doing an interview with, well, her screen name is Based Mama, Basedmama. Let me make sure I got all this. Based Mama. There you go. Based Mama, Based space Mama. It's got about almost 13,000 subscribers, and so we're probably gonna be doing an interview or a joint video this week. Should be fun. All right, so let's get down to it. So the problem with these reports that I'm gonna read is that the really good reports are too long to read on this video. So I had to pick kind of short ones. The shorter they are, the less interesting they are. And also, one of the reasons I wanted to read these reports is you're probably not even going to understand what I'm reading. The reports are so packed with Scientology jargon, they're undecipherable. I mean, even I was reading them to myself in preparation for this, and I'm like, there was like 6 English words in that entire paragraph. And so I'm just going to read the reports so you get a sense of them. I'm probably not going to try to define every word in these things. It would be ridiculous. It would defeat the point of the video, and it would take up too much time. Now, these are reports I wrote. I was the master of the knowledge report. Scientology snitching culture is real, and don't hate the player, hate the game. So to have written like over 500 reports in probably less than 4 years, and these aren't even all the reports I wrote, I'm sure. But I took this seriously. You know, the snitching culture in Scientology is based on many references written by Hubbard, and he definitely lays the groundwork that if you know of anything being done that's incorrect or improper, and you do not write it up and send it to all the interested parties, including the ethics officer, you are just as culpable for by virtue of not having reported it, you are just as culpable of the person who should have been the one to actually be reported. So let's just jump into it here. Okay, first report's kind of a silly one. I'm going to read this out loud. If I can figure out how to put these into online PDFs, I'll put links to these reports in the description of the video. All right, so here we go. March 29, 2006, addressed to the Ethics Section AOLA, written by the Cramming Officer in Training AOLA, which was me. Heading, Knowledge Report. Daniel Holzinger, TTC AOLA. The TTC is the Technical Training Corps, which is the group of staff members who are in full-time training to become Scientology auditors. I'm going to fight the urge to define every fucking word in this report. Okay. This one's actually not too bad. Today, Daniel is wearing a shirt that has a huge tear in the hole in the left elbow, and I do mean huge. The whole elbow actually sticks out of the hole when the arm is bent. I don't know exactly what Daniel has done to get another shirt or shirts, but it is more appropriate to come into post wearing upstat civvies than it is to come into post wearing a degraded Sea Org uniform. Upstat civvies means nice civilian clothes. Okay, it presents a bad image of the Sea Org to the public, And it looks like we either don't care about the staff looking this way or we just can't afford to do anything about it. That is the image it presents to the public. Thus, this knowledge report. All right, so I turned in a report on a dude for wearing a shitty shirt. And if that sounds petty, it's because it is. But if you're an awesome Sea Org member like I was being, you care a lot about presenting a good image to the public. Now, Scientology is all about image. That's why it wants to buy these big buildings. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. Okay, good. So that was the hole in the shirt police. All right, this is the next one I want to read. To any Sea Org veterans, former Sea Org members, who I hope maybe are watching this video, you are all probably going to know who Bill Screevers is. And this is a report on Bill Screevers and another Sea Org member named Huckleberry Taylor, his actual name. All right, so this is September 27, 2003, addressed to the Ethics Section Asho Day. From the Technical Secretary Asho Day, me, Aaron Smith-Levin. Copies to the BC Officer Asho Day and the Dur INR Asho Day. Heading, Knowledge Report on Bill Screevers, the BC Practical Soup Asho Day, and Huckleberry Taylor, the BC Practical Soup, also a BC Practical Soup Asho Day. All right, here we go. This is the one that is so chock full of terms. I figured the value of reading this report would just to provide an example of how this report is almost entirely not written in English. Here we go. BC Practical was put in a state of emergency last week. The STP eked up by 3,000 when it has crashed in range by over 140,000. The STC remained at 0 and the biz went down. I only got a progress report on the state of emergency from both of them once. The issue says to do daily reports to the LC via their seniors. I was working in the BC Practical course room yesterday and I found that the basic targets from the BC Practical Invest to monitor drills by the hour and to do workouts the night before for what drills would be done by each student were not done, and it was already 10 a.m. The BC Practical course room is now running 5,000 down in this new week. Much love. TechSec Asho Day. Okay, so this is a funny little quirk about reports that are written in Scientology, is no matter how much you eviscerate someone in the report, you always end it. I mean, this is kind of a modern Miscavige era thing because he pretty much started this. Much love. You could call the guy the worst piece of shit in the world, and you're literally sending him a copy of it. Look what I'm saying about you, and look what I'm telling others about you, and then you sign it. Much love. All right, that was that one. And then this third one's a little beefier, which I think is okay because the first ones were nice and short. This is also pretty freaking heavy on the jargon. And again, I asked myself, like, okay, what's the point of reading a report that no one's going to understand? Just so you can see what the fuck's in a report. All right, so June 28th, 2004, addressed to the Ethics Section Asho Day. From TechSec Asho Day, yours truly, Aaron Smith-Levin. Copied to LC Asho Day, Esto IC Asho Day, FR Asho Day, Esto Network IC West US, Senior INR PAC, RTC Rep PAC. Heading, Knowledge Report. Crystal Apodaca from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Division 345 Esto Asho Day. I'm not sure a single English word has been uttered up until this point. All right, here we go. It's kind of a long one. Crystal has been on post for many months. Okay, I will define something. We're going to take a step back. An ESTO in Scientology is short for Establishment Officer. And in Scientology, this is someone whose job is supposed to be helping get other people established onto their jobs and productive. Make sure they have a space to work in. Make sure they have all the tools they need or material or accessories to do their job. Make sure they know what the hell they're supposed to be doing. Make sure they understand the product they're supposed to be accomplishing on their post. Help answer any questions they have or difficulties they have that would prevent them from being able to get out a high quality product. So just so you have a general idea. Okay. Crystal Apodaca, Div 345 Esto Asho Day. She was responsible for doing this with the staff members in Division 3, 4, and 5, and I was over Division 4. Crystal has been on post for many months, and I have not seen her esto anyone in the tech division, except for maybe 2 instances where some reach and withdraw was done or some 2-hour confronts were set up. When she first went on post, I assumed the estoing... when she first went on post, I assumed the estoing would start immediately. And since I know you're supposed to esto from the top down, I figured I would really be pushed along on my product clearing as the first action. After all, there are only 3 division heads in her area, and if you're working from the top down, then you only have 3 people to work with. In the many months that Crystal has been on post, she has spoken to me maybe 7 times on the subject of doing the esto steps. Several of these times involved me telling her more than once that I've already done what I've already done on the esto steps. One of the times we did reach and withdraw on the HGC a few months ago. One time she told me that she wanted me to do more 2-hour confronts in different areas, and that's all. I already feel like this report is way too long-winded, but I'm just going to keep reading it because I'm committed. Okay. I need a sip. All right. What has prompted me to write this report is the current scene with my course supervisors. I have been over and over the hurdles with them for months and months to increase the quality of drilling, increase the strong interest in the students, show some more initiative on scheduling full-time students, to keep in all of the supervisor basics, to increase the seniors' responsibility for their juniors, to get the supervisors making good coaches, to enforce the passing standard of the drills, etc., etc. And while I do feel it is an improving scene, I can still walk into the course rooms and see the same stupid things that I saw many months ago, like finding a course supervisor who looks bored and is not actively working with any students, but only has 5 students, and none of them have been spot checked and it's already 4 p.m. Or finding that the person's senior doesn't even know about what's going on and isn't even in the area, just as an example. I sound like an ultra snitch, and I was. I took pride in these reports. It leaps out to me that these guys do not know what their product is, despite having studied and word cleared it. The omitted tech is the tech of product clearing and the rest of the esto steps. This report is not a complaint that I have personally not been product cleared. This is a complaint that my supervisors have not been product cleared. And while Crystal is not the only one who could do product clearing on someone, I do not see her doing any estoing at all. And she is a single-hatted esto. So what does she do? So that's really the essence of this report is, hey, Crystal Apodaca, I don't see you doing shit all day, and I want to call you out on it. All right, so Crystal gets credit for my stats on her percentage set. So I feel that she should do something. And I mean with the staff doing something, not just putting in purchase orders for new computers. I would be very curious to see if she were asked why she hadn't estoed any of the supervisors, if she would say that she couldn't do it because she has to esto from the top down. This is why I included the data about my own estoing. It's just non-existent. I have no idea what Crystal does all day long because she sure is not working with me or my staff. This is true. Much love, Aaron Smith-Levin. You just gotta put much love in there. The funny thing about the much love is that is an example of something Sea Org members started doing because David Miscavige started doing it. Now, if there's any former Sea Org members watching this video who are aware of that starting before Miscavige, please let me know. But I'm pretty sure that I remember when it started. He started signing everything ML, and everyone else started signing everything ML. And then apparently ML was just too much, and he started just signing it L. Or maybe he just was in a bad mood and he didn't want to send much love. He just wanted to send love. And then all the Sea Org members started just writing L at the bottom of their reports. Okay, I'm going to do my best, and I'm a little forgetful, but I'm going to say right now I'm going to try to do my best to get these documents up on some online PDF and post links to them because I think people might get a kick out of them. Okay, there is some specific Q&A questions that someone sent me on Facebook that I promised I would answer. So let me pull that up real quick. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, here we go. Okay, a couple questions for your next Q&A. Do you believe David Miscavige believes in the tech and or the fundamentals of Scientology, or is it all about the money with him? It's a very hard question to answer because I believe the answer has changed over time. Keep in mind, David Miscavige got into Scientology and joined the Sea Org at a very, very young age. Like 12 years old or whatever. So there's no reason to doubt that he was, as he came up in Scientology and came up through the ranks of the Sea Org and whatnot, just as much of a true believer as anyone else. And there's no real reason to believe that, like, he's just faking his belief. Now, I'm slightly contradicting something I've said in the past, which is that David Miscavige's actions show that on a certain level he doesn't truly believe in Scientology. But I'm not sure it's as simple as that. And what I mean is, he does not allow himself to be audited or taken in session, and hasn't for many, many years. That's not normal for someone who believes in Scientology, much less for someone who runs the Church of Scientology. It'd be as weird as the Pope being like, yeah, I don't really do Mass. That's good for other people, but I don't trust anybody. There's nobody good enough to... if the Pope said, I don't ever attend Mass because there's no other priests good enough to do a Mass worthy of my presence. That's kind of like what Miscavige's thing is. He says there are no Scientology auditors that are good enough to take him in session. The other thing is that whoever runs the Church of Scientology, if they truly believed in everything that the materials of Scientology say, they would be going out of their way to get as many people up the bridge to total freedom, which is the Scientology's deal, as possible. And Miscavige has kind of done the opposite of that. Over the years, he's constantly put barriers in the way to make it longer and more expensive to get up the bridge. He himself is not up the bridge. Up the bridge, I guess, in this case would mean going all the way through OT8, because that's the highest that's released right now. And there's other reasons, there's other examples I could give where his actions don't demonstrate that he believes Scientology. But I think the better answer is probably he does believe in Scientology. He's just got a whole bunch of shit worked up in his head that, whether it's personality disorders, well, it's most certainly at least one personality disorder that causes him to behave the way that he behaves, So, no, Miscavige is not OT8. He's never completed OT7. So that information comes from Claire Headley, who was one of the people in RTC who was responsible for getting him in session, and he would not allow himself to go in session. All right, next question. There's only a few of them here. Was the IAS Freedom Medal of Valor created just for Tom Cruise? Has anyone else received this honor? So the IAS Freedom Medal of Valor was created just for Tom Cruise. What everyone else gets is just the simple IAS Freedom Medal. And there's 3, 4, 5 Scientologists per year are awarded the IAS Freedom Medal at the annual event in St. Hill Manor at East Grinstead, Sussex, for actions that are deemed to be accomplishing the aims of Scientology, which is a world without criminality, a world without insanity, where honest beings have rights, the able can prosper, and I fucked it up. I missed something. But yes, Tom Cruise is the only one to ever receive the IAS Freedom Medal of Valor. It was made just for him. It is extra large. It does look a little silly. And no one else has ever been given that honor. Okay, has it been, next question, has it been discussed within Scientology that Jett Travolta's death could have been prevented if he was on the appropriate medication? Were his ailments disregarded by the church because they were considered psychiatric in nature? Just curious how that was handled. So there's a problem I have in answering this question. And that problem revolves around not truly understanding what drugs are used as anti-seizure meds and which of those drugs are considered psych drugs, psychotropic medications. Here's what I've said in the past, and then people have told me they think I'm wrong. I have said it is not fair to blame Scientology or the Travoltas for Jett's death, because I said it is not true that Scientologists don't take medication. Scientologists can't take psychiatric medication, like SSRIs. And in the last video I discussed this, someone pointed out to me that Tori Chrisman has a story, meaning her personal story includes the fact that when she joined the Sea Org, she was taking some anti-epileptic drugs. And I might be getting some of these details wrong, so forgive me. And that in the Sea Org, she was prevented from taking those drugs. And my response to that was, well, that's a little different. That's a little different. A Sea Org member would probably be under more pressure not to take some anti-epileptic drugs than just the autistic son of a celebrity Scientologist. And I actually sent a message to Tori on Facebook, who I've never spoken with in person before. But when this video came up, I sent a message to Tori and I said, Tori, can you please review what I said here? Because it has to do with you, and let me know where I've got it wrong, if I've got it wrong. And I never did hear back from her, so I don't know if she saw that video. And so because I have it stuck in the back of my head that I may not know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to these epilepsy drugs, I'm a little hesitant to discuss it. But if you keep all that in mind, here's my answer. There is nothing in Scientology that would prevent someone who suffers from seizures from taking anti-seizure meds. The only caveat would be, obviously, you're not allowed to get auditing if you're on those kind of drugs, but someone who's autistic is not getting auditing. The only other caveat might be, if the only drugs that treat those seizures are psychiatric drugs, then there is a chance that his parents may not have wanted to give them to him. I find that hard to believe, but that's just my opinion. Okay, what was the other thing I wanted to say about this? The Travoltas were not under any illusions about whether Jett had autism. Because autism within Scientology is considered a psychiatric disorder, which I don't believe is accurate. I do not, but again, I'm talking about something I don't really know. I believe the Travoltas didn't want to publicly say he had autism because they felt like they would be promoting the existence of a psychiatric disorder, or what they were being told was a psychiatric disorder. They very publicly said that Jett had Kawasaki disease. And I do believe that's what they were saying because they didn't want to say it was autism. But I would cautiously encourage people not to mistake the fact that they didn't want to publicly acknowledge it was autism. Please don't mistake that with assuming, therefore, they didn't give him the drugs he needed to prevent seizures. I think that's probably a reckless conclusion, but we're all speculating here anyway, right? So Jett had a seizure. Jett hit his head and died. I don't think it's fair to try to blame the Travoltas and whether they were willing to acknowledge that he had autism for his death. The legitimate conversation would be trying to understand whether there was any reason that Jett was prevented from taking anti-seizure meds. I can only hope that's not true. But that's why I don't think you really hear anyone talking about it, because nobody fucking knows the answer. Like, who's going to know what anti-seizure meds Jett was taking? And, you know, maybe there's 3 drugs and they would only give him the least effective drug because it's the only one that's not considered a psych drug. Like, I don't know. All right, let's see. What is the touch assist? I don't really want to answer that right now. Is it common for Scientologists to ask other parishioners what OT level they are on? Yes, very common. Okay, that's pretty much it for now. Now, let's pull up the Q&A real quick. Sorry, I'm getting distracted over here. Totally unprofessional. Oh, God. Stupid internet shit. Okay, what was I looking for? Oh yeah, the chat for this video. All right, let's go. Come on. There it is. All right, here we go. Oh, I might be able to do a lot of questions here. Okay, were the people caring for Jett Travolta Scientologists? He supposedly had nurses and caretakers. I don't know who his nurses were. I do know the guy who was his personal, I can't say his nurse because that's like a certification issue. I do know the guy that was Jett's handler is the word. I want to say companion. I want to say caretaker. His job was to be attached to Jett's hip. And what did happen is Jett got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I don't know the details of the arrangements. Like, does the caretaker sleep in the same room as Jett? I don't know. But yes, the caretaker was a Scientologist. Absolutely. Okay. Is that a German question? Can you talk about the superpower building? Who it's for? What they do there? Hello, Kyle. Okay, I'll do this quickly. The superpower building is just called that way. It's only called the superpower building because there's a specific auditing action called the superpower rundown. And it's actually a collection of like 12 or 13 different auditing rundowns. Contrary to popular belief, and I've done other videos on this, Scientologists don't actually expect to get superpowers the way you or I would think about, like, you know, Marvel Universe superpowers. It's other kinds of stupid, ridiculous superpowers, like being able to detect the saline content of your own cells, or being able to detect your orientation, or heat sensitivity to heat. Anyway, just stupid shit. So the building is called Superpower, the Superpower Building, because there was this whole, what's the word I want to use? I want to say scheme is not the right word, but there was this whole gimmick where Miscavige had this series of rundowns that L. Ron Hubbard had created, and these things were supposed to be released decades ago. But Miscavige needed a fundraising opportunity, and he said, these rundowns are going to make planetary clearing a reality. But, catch, we have to build a giant 500,000 square foot headquarters in downtown Clearwater. L. Ron Hubbard says that we have to do that before we can release the superpower rundowns. And so the fundraising effort lasted for like over 10 years they raised so much more money than was needed to build this building. And when the building was finally constructed and they had the grand opening, that was the official release of the superpower auditing rundowns. And that's why the building is called Superpower Building. But really, it's now the main center of activity on the Flag Land Base here in Clearwater. Almost all of the auditing gets delivered there. Almost all of the course rooms are there. It's where all the SEERG members eat their meals. They've got restaurants. They've got cafeterias for the Scientology public. And it's also why you don't see SEERG members walking down the streets anymore, hardly at all, in downtown Clearwater, is because now they all work in that big damn building, and they go in there in the morning, and they stay in there all day, and they don't come out till 11 o'clock at night. So it was kind of a blessing for downtown Clearwater, actually, because now that the SEERG members aren't, hoarding down the streets 3 times a day, now you can actually get some restaurants down there and some bars and some steakhouses and some wineries, and you can actually bring back the non-Scientologists to the downtown area because they're not being constantly bombarded by strange crowds in military-ish uniforms. Okay, let's see. What else? What level did you make it to in the Church of Scientology? Believe it or not, almost nothing. There's the main line auditing that is called going up the bridge. And then there's a whole bunch of other smaller categories of auditing that anybody can do, and they can do a whole lot of it, and it doesn't get you anywhere on the goddamn bridge to total freedom. So many people paying attention to Scientology have probably heard of the Purification Rundown. That's literally all I've done on the bridge. I have done as much on Scientology's Bridge to Total Freedom as anyone who graduated the Narconon drug rehab program. I never even did my TRs and objectives, which I'm not going to define. If you're watching the video and you know what it means, great. I never did my drug rundown. I did a course called the Key to Life course that normally requires people to have done certain actions before it. But because I was so young and because I'd never done any drugs or taken any alcohol, I was allowed to skip all those steps. So I have had a lot of auditing, just not a lot of bridge auditing. So I hope that answers the question. Can a normal person from any faith help mankind on their own without Scientology? This is from Dominique DeMarco. Well, when I read your question, I have to ask myself, are you talking about from the viewpoint of a Scientologist or from the viewpoint of like me personally? For me personally, anybody can help anyone in the world or help make the world a better place. From Scientology's perspective, anybody can be nice to people, anybody can make the world a nicer place, but only Scientology can actually help people. And if you want to know what the hell that means, please watch my video called The Matrix. Shit, I'm going to forget the title. Let me pull it up. It's like The Matrix, Scientology, and Disconnection, but let me pull it up. Matrix, Scientology, YouTube. Boom. The Matrix, Scientology, and Disconnection will give you an explanation for what the fuck do Scientologists mean when they say only Scientologists can truly help someone, or only Scientology can free mankind. Free them from what? What the hell does that mean? Check out that video, it'll explain the whole thing. All right, back to the questions. All right, sometimes when I look at all these questions, it's hard to actually see any of them. Hello in Seoul, South Korea. That's awesome. What is meant by J and D in Scientology? So in Scientology, J and D is an acronym that is short for joking and degrading. And that is simply a phrase for making any derogatory jokes or comments about L. Ron Hubbard or Scientology. I've given a funny example previously where I was on this course. It was called the Key to Life course. And it was just a course about the English language and looking up definitions of words. But it was a Scientology course. And the pamphlet for this course had a picture of one of these scales, like the scales of justice kind of looking thing. And on one side was the symbol of the Key to Life course. And on the other side was a big pile of gold bullion bars. And whoever drew this image, it was 14 karat gold. And the person I was working with on the course was like, he was my age, we were both kids, we were like 13. He was like, I wonder why it's 14 karat gold instead of 24 karat gold. And he goes, you know what? I bet it's because if it was 24 karat gold, the scale would go the other way. And we laughed our asses off. Boom. We were sent right to the ethics officer for J&D, joking and degrading. It's actually considered a very serious offense to make any jokes about Scientology at any time. It is not a light matter. All right, what else we got? Okay, somebody says autism is in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is what has the psychiatric disorders, and it is measured on a spectrum. So I did know that. I didn't know that it was in the DSM, so that's good to know. Thank you for that. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, what does that mean? Like, other personality disorders, and again, I'm kind of talking out my ass, can be treated with drugs and the person will act normally. Those disorders can be managed. Can autism be managed? I really didn't think so. And if it can, that's news to me. I think my understanding would be that when you have someone who's autistic, you can have some of the maybe more disruptive quirks or personality traits that might be able to be subdued with drugs, but you can't make the guy not autistic, right? But maybe I'm making a bad comparison because when you're giving someone a drug, you're not taking away the disorder, you are just managing it. So anyway, by the way, when these videos, when I finish doing the live streams and I post them, they upload and all of the comments in the live stream disappear and you have to, all the comments start over. So if there's any other helpful comments about the autism issue and the seizure issue and what are the most common seizure drugs and whether they're considered psych drugs or SSRIs, I would love to see those, and please include them below. That would be great. All right. What do we got? I would like to chat about my high school. A long time ago, I attended the same school as Mark Hughes of Herbalife, who had connections with Est and Landmark. Cool. Very cool. Are you going to be doing another set of videos with Mike Rinder? I'm curious about how his life is now. Is he still being harassed? Has there been any new information about his son, etc., etc.? Well, I certainly hope that when there's time available, like when we were doing those videos together, Mike was working with me in my business. And so we were together, 40 hours a week. So it was very easy for us to just be like, all right, cool, let's go do a video. It was not a big deal. But Mike works for the show pretty much full time, and he's a very busy dude. And I imagine if I were him, I'd be a little burned out about talking about Scientology on film any more than I had to record the show, right? I mean, it's very, very time consuming. And it's my hope that eventually we'll be able to do more videos, but I just don't know. I think in the show that he talks about how his life is now. He's got a wife, he's got a son, and normal life. Mike has said publicly that he really doesn't get harassed. I think there was that one show, and he has been in the past, of course, but there was the one show, I think it was in season 1, where they were being followed by PIs when they were in Denver. And he said even for the show, that was the only time they were actually followed by PIs that they were aware of. And has there been any new information about his son? So Mike's son is still in the Sea Org at Flag. One of the things that's just terrible that is that if anyone's seen the video when Mike actually went to the Fort Harrison Hotel with Marty Rathbun and a couple other people to insist on speaking with his son Benjamin, it turns out that Benjamin was actually trying to leave the Sea Org at that time, and they wouldn't let him go. And they offered him all sorts of stuff to let him, so that he would agree to stay. They offered him a shorter schedule. They offered him just a position where he wouldn't have to do much and wouldn't have to be responsible for stuff. I think he worked in like the little behind the bar by the pool that made smoothies. Do you know what I mean? Like as a Sea Org member, it doesn't get any better than that. Like in the Sea Org, the good jobs are the ones where you don't have to do anything. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. I have heard that the quality of the Sea Org uniforms are cheap, even though they are designed by DM's personal tailor and fashion designer. I don't think the quality of the Sea Org uniforms are cheap. I guess it's compared to what? Like the more senior executives in the higher up organizations within the corporate structure of the Church of Scientology have actually, without question, better quality uniforms and nice tailored uniforms. What they are is cheap looking, but I don't know, is cotton cheap? I don't know. They're not special, but it's not like they're off the discount rack at Walmart. I don't know. All right, there's not much substance to that one. Let's see. Not a ton of questions here, I guess, unless I'm just overlooking a whole bunch here. Yeah, all right. Well, maybe we'll kind of leave it at that, you guys. We don't have to do this all night. What is the drink? This is apple cider. And I threw a little rum in there just for fun. Are you going to do a show about episode 7? Do you mean episode 7 of Scientology, The Aftermath? I do not know. I generally speaking have not been doing videos to discuss the shows. I guess I feel like the shows just kind of speak for themselves, and I'm not really sure what I would say about it necessarily. I think there was one show where I sort of did a follow-up, but it's just I haven't really been compelled to say a whole lot about them. The shows have been so powerful. They've been very emotional, And honestly, it feels a little cheap just to jump online and do a video about them. I don't make any money from this channel, so I don't mean cheap that way. Like, I don't have ads turned on my channel. Speaking of which, here is something I would love for you guys to put in the comments. One of the reasons I've never turned on ads on the channel is, one, I don't need the money. Two, I didn't want to give the church any ammunition to be like, Aaron just does all this for money. I've never made a cent off of anything I've done regarding Scientology. It costs me money to do this channel. It has cost me money to appear on Scientology in the aftermath when you factor in travel costs. But one of the other most important reasons I've never turned on ads is because I can't stand watching ads in the beginning of videos. I pay the extra $15 a month for YouTube Red so that I don't have to watch ads in front of videos. It drives me insane. So I figured if I didn't turn on ads, then the people watching my videos wouldn't be forced to watch these shit ads in front of the videos. But then people have been telling me that there are ads running in front of my videos. And I was like, then what's the point? Why does YouTube even give you the option to monetize or not monetize if they're going to run ads in front of your videos anyway? So that means if I don't turn on the monetization, then YouTube just keeps all the money, and then if I do, they give me some, but then they give you an option. So anyway, these videos don't get enough views. Like, I think if I had turned on ads, my entire channel since its like inception would probably have made less than $1,000. So it's not even worth doing. But here's my question. Please tell me in the comments below if you're seeing ads running on my videos. I would love to know. All right, what else? Do you think the IRS will revoke Scientology's tax-exempt status? Do I really? No, because they're a bunch of pussies. But also, it's important to understand how these government bureaucracies work. They have limited resources. Even the IRS has limited resources and limited time. And these government enforcement agencies, like the FTC and the SEC and the IRS, they do pick their battles. And it's a pretty tall order for one of these guys to pick a battle with the Church of Scientology at this point. I mean, it was a tall order back then, and that was before they had as much money as they have now, and before they had the religious recognition and the tax exempt status that they have now. They're an even more formidable enemy now for the government to go after. But here's what I like to say on that. Nobody actually needs the government to step in to do something about the Church of Scientology. The Church of Scientology is doing something about itself already. Anyone paying attention to these guys can tell and can see, it's obvious, their members are dwindling every day. Their influence is dwindling. They are a joke. They are a punchline. I mean, just look at the websites and the hate videos that they put up on all of the contributors of Scientology in the aftermath. They are making themselves into a caricature of fools. No one's joining Scientology. Comment below if you know of anyone who joined Scientology in the last 3 years and if they're still in. And people are leaving the Sea Org by the dozens. Their excuse is to have kids. The Sea Org will not press you to get an abortion anymore because of all of the public embarrassment that they've received from the exposure of things like Scientology in the aftermath and other lawsuits and other media platforms and whatnot. So, no, I don't really think the IRS will revoke tax exemption, but it doesn't mean that it's not worth trying. I mean, even if there's a 5% chance, it's worth trying. So I'm not trying to poo-poo any of the efforts to make that happen. All right, what else? Aaron, what do you think of the ads? I have to assume you're talking about the Scientology ads, and then I have to assume you're talking about ads for the hate videos. I think that's what the question means. Check out on my channel. I did a response to the hate videos that the church did on me. Just like Nathan Rich, who in the beginning of this video, I said go watch his response video. I did a response video like 8 months ago when my episode came out and the church put up a website on me. So let me see what the name of that video is. It's going to be pretty obvious, but Let's look. Okay, where is it? Oh boy, this dead time is killing me. Okay. March 21, 2017, the title of the video is Aaron Smith-Levin, Scientology's Hate Websites. God, I hope that's the right one. Check that out. That's my response to the videos that the church had put up on me. All right, looking for any other questions. It's not that there aren't questions, it's just that there aren't questions I want to answer. Does anybody really go to the hate sites? I think people go to the hate sites for comedy. I mean, when you look at these things, they are so amateur. They are so over the top. They're so, this person was never any good. Really? Then why did they work as a Scientology executive for 30 years? This person never accomplished anything in their lives. Really? Then what good is Scientology if you can work for Scientology for 30 years and not accomplish anything in your entire life? They said that Mike Rinder never held any position of importance. He was literally the international spokesperson for the Church of Scientology. He was on the board of directors of the Church of Scientology International. And for a period of time, he held the post of commanding officer of the CMO International. COCMO Int. Commanding officer, Commodore's Messengers Organization International. Which, depending on how you define it, is kind of like number 2 man in Scientology. So you've got RTC as the senior organization in Scientology. And under that is the Watchdog Committee, which is the senior branch of CMO Int. The Watchdog Committee chairman is like the second most powerful person in Scientology. But you could also say that, well, whoever David Miscavige's deputy in RTC is, maybe is the second most powerful person in Scientology. But I don't really define it that way. So, like, literally, Mike has been one of the most important people in the C organization in the last 30 years. And they have the balls to say he never held any position of importance. And when I say don't have the balls, I don't mean how dare they insult Mike. I mean, how stupid can they be? Like, they're discrediting themselves in the eyes of even the membership of the Church of Scientology, who sees these who sees these videos, and they go, we know that's not true. Why would they have to lie about Mike Rinder to discredit Mike Rinder? We thought Mike Rinder, they've been telling us that Mike Rinder's a piece of shit, but if they have to lie to make him sound like a piece of shit, then maybe he's not a piece of shit, and what else are they lying about? So they really shoot themselves in the foot with all this shit. All right, well, let's see. It is 11 o'clock at night, and we have been going for 53 minutes, so that's not bad. Don't forget to check out the Supporters of Leah Remini Facebook group if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out Nathan Rich's YouTube channel and his video, and check him out on Twitter. And that's pretty much all I got, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.